Hey everybody, it's Dave with No Chaser, and today's topic is about the denial that goes into addiction and alcoholism. But not just denial in general, a more specific type, a certain type of denial that I have come across, and many others have, that can be very confusing, even to me as someone who's also addicted. I make these videos for people that are struggling with addiction or drinking or are in recovery, and for, just the average person that has someone that they love or care about that is struggling with this stuff. And I would say this video is a little bit more, geared towards the sort of perception or view of that person, like, an outside looking in of like, how the hell does this make any sense? Because this is something that I was baffled with for a while and still find kind of amazing at times. And this scenario goes like this. Let's use a hypothetical that is absolutely based on real people and real events. But you have a person, let's say a guy, because men are more likely to be addicted to substances. Yeah, men. But anyways, so here's a guy who has been drinking, and it's becoming more and more obvious. The not only does like his intermediate family or the spouse kind of have an idea or know, but now like friends and even coworkers know. And then there's an inciting incident. It could be something where they get in trouble at work. It could be something where they get in trouble with the law, like get like a DUI. So now their, addiction gets to dance with the criminal justice system. That's always fun. Or there's something even more intensive and acute, which is just like an intervention happens at once. And when these things occur, and especially let's view towards more the intervention, the response is what's truly baffling. The person is like, "What are you talking about?" And it seems like in these scenarios where, let's say that they get the DUI and they're ordered to go to AA meetings, and they're just like, "I guess I'll go to these," or at work they're just like, work is kind of hinting, "Hey, you may need to see HR." And they're like, "Oh, I get it. I was just hungover too many times." And the work's like, "Does he not know he has a problem?" Like, basically, this is the scenario where everybody knows you have a problem but you. Or it seems like the person is the last to find out that they're the one that has the drinking problem or addiction. And it could be amazing in some sort of sense, because it's like, how can everybody see this? I mean, it should be so plainly obvious that it's one of those things where it's just like, man, if 15 people tell you have a tail, even if you don't believe in tails, just, I don't know, look behind you for a second. And what's so I mean, but you could see that, like, you could see in a sense where a person is like lying about it, or they're saying they don't have an addiction or a drinking problem because they want to keep using. See, in my mind, that is not great, but that makes sense to me. But there are truly people that are in like this sort of lockdown denial. Like, I for some time I worked in case management in the child welfare system. And I come across some parents that were addicted to drug. I mean, almost like 90% of the cases had alcohol and drugs involved with it. But you'd have parents that are trying to get back their kids, and one thing was that they'd have to be clean and sober. Most of them, understood, and it was a struggle, and they worked their way through it the best they could. But then there'd be some that had no idea what you're talking about, had every excuse in the book for why this sort of coincidence has always happened to them. And, oh, just it was my friend's, meth pipe that time. What about the other time? Like, I had one in particular that was, I didn't, if it wasn't so like intensely, aggressively, like obvious that she was not even aware of her problem, I would have thought she was just one of the best liars ever, because she had denied her problem, and it was just, there was mountains of evidence, and it almost goes into a form of like true madness, where it's just like, you can't, how can you not see? Like, again, I go back to the thing where I get it, man. If you're telling people that, I don't have a problem, because you're like, I do, but I don't want to stop. I get that. But the person that truly doesn't even believe they do when they live the life of an alcoholic, that's something even me as an alcoholic that I'm like, for so long, I would be like, wait, what? Look, I'm in denial in my own ways. Like, when I'm drinking, And when I was out there, I may have not had that denial that I wasn't addicted, but I had other forms of denial, like a denial that, like, I don't know, later down the road I'll be able to quit, or I'm functioning right now, it's not that bad. I was denying reality that way. But in this type, it was one of the few times where I would feel almost sort of like emotionally, mentally separated from a fellow addict, because I'm like, whoa, dude, you really don't know? Like, really? I get that you tell other people, but you truly don't know your deal? Like, and the thing is why it would be so hard for me to believe that is because I think in the experience of the alcoholic and addict, one of the biggest things that you relate to when you're in recovery is not just the how much you drank or used or buying drugs experience or getting DUIs and going to jail. For me, it's those very personal, alone experiences by yourself. The stuff like the hiding of the alcohol, the stuff like the lying or the craziness that you do to get away with it, or the smuggling away or the drinking on your work break. Like, those moments to yourself are the ones that you feel the hardest. And if you're a person doing that and you still don't know that you're alcoholic, that's what's crazy to me. Like, let me go back to the example of, let's say the person got a DUI. In most cases, when someone gets a DUI, they're usually made to take a chemical dependency evaluation, which is basically like, hey, you got into a substance related problem. This is if you get like possession too. If you get into a substance related problem, you might have a problem with substances. Take this evaluation. And the thing is that I remember I knew somebody who didn't believe they were alcoholic, but depending on the score you get, you don't want to be like, yeah, I got 100, not good. But if you did, they would suggest treatment, or they'd suggest more recovery meetings a month that you have to go to, or classes, or outpatient, or stuff like that. And I knew one person who had did that, and because of the little that he had to do afterwards, I was like, okay, so you lied on it, right? Like, clearly you weren't telling the truth, and I mean, that's whatever, but though, like, if you have to lie on this thing and lie egregiously, like, doesn't that like open something up in your mind that there is an issue here? Like, and I think going to like how this can sort of happen is that basically denial can be built up in a sense that it's going against reality, right? It occurs because pretty much your reality is that you want to do this thing that you're not supposed to. So the other ways that I think people can sort of put these blinders on is that I've met plenty of people that do like function pretty well in some weird way. Like, and it's like, I mean, they're maybe not emotionally, there or mentally there, but they're doing all the things. They're, attending all the parent-teacher conferences and work meetings and just kind of getting through life. I've known many people, especially that it seems like ones that do like methamphetamine, then, get by for quite a long time and are really good workers and just kind of cruise through. And that could sort of build up the denial, because like, no, alcoholics and addicts' lives look like this, pan to garbage, and mine looks like this. I got a car, I got that place, I got a family, and like, I wouldn't have these things if I had a problem. But the other aspect is that ways of life can be normalized too. Like, over time, even people, like I said, that are watching this that may not be addicted to stuff, over time, just like in the way that you just leave one cup of water on your table, for instance, and then just like all of a sudden it looks like that one girl's room in the Signs movie with the aliens where she left the cups of water. Like, there's just cups of water everywhere. And it just, you don't really notice it until someone walks in and is like, we can do anything about all these? Like, I don't know, that was hit the camera. That was a very specific example, but just other things in your life, just the way you start gaining weight and like losing yourself kind of physically in your appearance and things like that, or just your house gets cluttered, or just your life, this stress you have. You're at this like terrible job where there's this incredible toxicity, and you just kind of stay there and you're just used to that. It's only when you go to a new job you're like, oh wait, all the stuff I was doing was insane. Same thing could be with families. Well, it could especially be like that with your way of drinking and drugging, and you just have done it so much that you're like, well, this is normal. maybe normal for me, or maybe just acceptable normal because it's been done so much. And the the other factor is, if you take a look on the other side, is like when it's so blatantly obvious, how has no one said anything yet? Like, why does it take a whole like group text or email chain to like set up an intervention? Or how does, coworkers not being like, dude, Phil, what are you doing? By the way, get your life together, Phil. No, but like again, how have people, there may have been comments like, wow, you're having another one, or you're hungover again, or just these little sort of passive kind of comments, but how's no one really brought it up? How have they gone this far just kind of tumbling their way through reality? And the truth is that one, if that person appears to be in denial, then what are you going to do? You're going to bring it up and just get into some really weird confrontational sort of like argument that's bound to go nowhere. And two, even if you don't think they're in denial and they have a problem, the issue is, and this like may seem kind of, I don't know, benign in the grand scheme of things, but it's very much true for that person themselves, is that they just don't want the awkwardness or the weird, even small sort of hardship that comes with doing this thing, confronting them. And let's say they admit it, they go, yes, I do. And then they don't stop, like many alcoholics and addicts do, or rather don't. They don't stop. So what do you do then? Especially if you're closer to them, family member or the spouse, you bring it up, you speak of the devil, and the devil's like, okay, fine, I'm here, but I'm not going away. Then it just seems like it's worse. So the person that is in this denial, the denial is being fed because they're also getting away with it. Because in their mind, and this part happened to me as well too, they think they were so sneaky and they were getting away with it, but they really weren't. Just no one was saying anything. And even in the back of your mind, you're like, well, someone would have said something if someone was on to me. And it's like, no, believe me, most of the time people will just be quiet and just kind of be like, all right, I'm just going to go. They'll practice a little denial themselves. And I guess the big thing is when considering this sort of scenario with alcoholics, have you ever met somebody that is like this or has gone through this? I would say they seem like they're in denial. My first thing, and this is me, I'm just a dude in a room with a phone, but I would think that the first case is that they do know that they have a problem. Especially if they're older and they've been doing it for years and it's getting like progressively worse, and they've had consequences before, they do know that they have a problem. They're just telling you they don't because, well, I'm not going to admit it and say I need help because I don't want to get help, which is totally like, that's in my addict brain, like that's totally understandable. I get why they do that. I've done that. But if it's a person that you come across and they don't think they have a problem and you're like, whoa, what do I even do about this? The truth is that lying to yourself can go deep, and the person maybe if they are forced to go to some sort of therapy or some sort of treatment. I've been in treatment where people actually kind of had like a 180 turn and started to realize, maybe not fully believed it, but started to realize once they were kind of educated more, or they saw people that were definitely addicted, that were doing the same things they did, they can open their mind sometimes. But unfortunately, a lot of times, it just requires more consequences. Because the way you truly know that you're an alcoholic and addict is when bad stuff keeps happening to you. And you want the bad stuff to stop. So you go, oh, you know what? Fine, I'm not doing this. Not forever, but I'm just not going to do this for a little while because I don't want anything bad to happen to me. And then you figure out you can't even do it for a little while. Then the alarms start going off, and then, I don't know, but people can be in denial even past that point, amazingly. Oh, the wonderful world of addiction. Anyways, if you like these videos and all that stuff, like, subscribe, or whatever, I don't know. I co-host a podcast called Shoeless in South Dakota with my good friend. It's really fun. The link's in the description, and I do have a book that you can check out. And even check out for free. Again, the link's in the description. Other than that, be well.